Live from the Channel Seed Studios. This is Jared and Jabo and Iowa Everywhere. Jared Stansbury. Jordan Bohannon. Together on Iowa Everywhere.
Channel Seed. Seedsmanship at work.
Welcome to the podcast. Channel Seed Studios on Iowa Everywhere. What's up, Jordan Bohannon?
Hi, Jared Stansbury.
What's going on?
You know, just living life. Been up and back from Western Iowa. You know, part of me is starting to like traveling, man. I'm liking being on the road. I'm liking driving through these small towns, appreciating the state of Iowa. The state of Iowa has a lot to offer. I'm a big fan.
You're going to Northwest Iowa all the time, right?
Yeah. Yep.
One of these days we'll have to get you down to Southwest Iowa. That's God's country. That's the real that's the real place you need to be.
See, the difference between you don't appreciate the whole state yet. I don't discriminate. I appreciate every town, every environment. Every time I'm driving by, I just gaze.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Call me when you've covered 8-man in Class A high school football before, and then we'll talk about who has an appreciation for the small towns in the state of Iowa. Let me know when you're out there doing the dirty work for covering Murray football as they beat Guthrie Center 70-0 or something like that, and tell me about your appreciation for small towns, please.
So you should have more.
Tell me more.
So you should have great appreciation then.
Tell me more about it. Yeah.
That sounds like a blast to me. On a Friday night, heading there and watching a 70-0 football game.
Big came from the mean streets of Cedar Rapids, trying to tell me who came from a town of 5,000 people.
Wait, no.
Marion, mean streets of Marion. Sorry.
Marion, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Cedar Rapids is a big city. Marion's a smaller town.
You came from the mean streets of Marion. You're out here trying to tell me about having appreciation for the small towns.
You sound like my girlfriend right now.
I'm just saying until you've experienced Fremont Mills versus East Mills 8-man football, then you can't tell me about anything about these small towns.
Fair enough.
Maybe, you ever been to an 8-man high school football game before?
I don't think I have. That's
a different breed, dude. That's a whole different type of deal.
I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to see small town high school players compete. I think it'd be fun.
It's the thing that's incredible about that is because it's much more like basketball, where if you have like one or two guys, you can really do something, you know.
But like
if you got one incredible guy, you can win the state championship.
Right. But I feel like most of those guys, if they are incredible, I feel like they transfer out, do they not?
It depends on the guy. I don't know if you remember Nate Meyer, who played football at Iowa, was a defensive end on their 2015 team. He went to Fremont Mills, which is down by Clarinda, where I'm from. Me and him competed against each other all growing up and everything. And they played 8-man. He scored 65 touchdowns his senior year of high school.
65?
65 touchdowns his senior year. They won the state championship game. Listen to this. They won the state championship game his senior year, 80-0. The state championship game.
Oh, bad seeding.
Yeah. Well, they played the team that was like number 2. They played them in like the in whatever the quarterfinals were. They were in the same district. They had to play against each other twice, and they beat them like 70-63 or something like that. And then the teams that they played at the Dome, they just killed them. Like they were just way better than them. So it's like it does happen, you know. And that team probably had 6 or 7 guys that could have played college football on it. And when you only need 8 and you got 6 or 7 that are going to play college football, you're going to win the state championship, you know.
There's some good players that are in small town Iowa City in towns. I feel like though, like I remember playing against guys AAU, like when we played like local tournaments when I was younger, and we'd go to these smaller towns. There's some like really good players that you never heard of that are either they grew way early and they are just very skilled, or later on, even when we played towards high school, I was like, damn, like we go to these team camps, like this kid's really, really good, but no one heard of him because he's a small town kid.
Well, and that's where, like if I was obviously when I played at Simpson, like the thing that I walked away from that experience feeling was that if you were in now it's called the American Rivers Conference, but at the time the Iowa Conference, if you're in that league and you want to be good, like you go all in on recruiting the guys that are the best players in 1A, 2A, and 3A. And you don't even try to recruit anybody from 4A. And you say, we're going to go get, like, you go to the state tournament and you say, I'm going to get the best guys on the best teams in class 2A, and then because then you're guaranteed to be bringing in guys, one, that have been on teams that have won, you know, so guys that understand what it takes to be able to win. And two, they're going to be guys that have that chip on their shoulder that feel like they were overlooked, and like I feel like that's how you win a league like that now at the Division III level, is by going hard on those things. And like when I was at Simpson, we would work really hard to recruit in like Chicago, Kansas City, Arizona, places like that. And like they would bring in those kinds of guys, and then they would all come together and mesh. Plus you would have the guys from small town Iowa, and it just like really wouldn't work out very well,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's probably the most untalked about facet of college athletics, Jared. Like from NAIA all the way up to Division One, the amount of like walks of life, the difference of walks of life that come together on one team. Again, that's what makes sports so great. That's why I fell in love with the game of basketball, because you meet so many incredible people. But yeah, you think about that, like Simpson or a smaller school like that, the wide variety. It's even sometimes wider a variety than like an Iowa or an Iowa State. Like it's insane the amount of walks of life, different kinds of people they bring in. I think that's so cool though.
I had teammates that played, like I had a teammate that played like Chicago Public League, high school basketball. And like at the time that like Derrick Rose was in high school, and guys that, like I said, came from Arizona, that it's like, what are you doing at Simpson College in Iowa when you came from Arizona,
Yeah.
but that's like, it was cool. And it's really fun to watch those guys now, like to see them on Facebook and things like that, see what they're doing, and see that they're doing well. And like one of them is a trainer down in Arizona. He works with professional players and things like that. And like it's cool to see all that kind of stuff. But it's like, if I was a coach, I would not have that approach of like pulling in guys from all over the place. I'd be like, I'm gonna own the state of Iowa. I'm gonna get the best guys from around here, because they're gonna bring in that, like, because I just know what the makeup of those kids that come from those small schools in Iowa are, because it's so hard for them to be able to get recruited consistently.
I feel like recruiting's been like kind of obsolete ever since the creation of, I guess, the expansion of AAU circuits. Like imagine like back in the day, like in the 90s, early 2000s. I remember like my oldest brother playing, and when he was getting recruited by Wisconsin, the bigger schools, like how much like awesome it was to see, because it was just so rare for an Iowa kid like that to happen. And it's like these coaches that were on the recruiting trail, it's almost like you find your diamond in the rough, like the old school days. Like imagine like coming back, you're like a 70-year-old assistant coach, and you're like, Coach, I got this kid I found out in Eastern Iowa. Like no one's ever seen him before. Because how do you see these kids like back in the 90s and 2000s? There was nothing to show how good they were. You had to actually go there and watch them play. I think that's what made recruiting so special. It's so different nowadays.
Well, and that's like, for me, I couldn't play. If I wanted to play AAU, you either had to drive to Omaha multiple times a week, or you had to be willing to drive to Des Moines multiple times a week. And to Des Moines, it was 2 hours. To Omaha, it's an hour. And for me, it was like, I was running track. I was playing baseball. I was doing all kinds of other stuff like that. And time investment just wasn't really possible for me with what I was doing at that time in high school. So it's like, you didn't even have the option to play AAU, you hardly even had the opportunity. And so for me, the way that I had to get recruited was by going to camps, and you would go to camps and you would hope that just whoever would see you at this camp would communicate with somebody else. And like, that's how the coaches at Simpson found out about me, is that I went to a camp at Nebraska, and there was a guy who used to be the coach at Roosevelt High School in Des Moines who contacted the coaches at Simpson and said, hey, have you heard about this guy? And I was like already on their radar, but he was like, no, you guys got to go and recruit this guy. And then that's like how it all happened, and from there, you just like the word of mouth kind of starts to build up. But I just imagine that like that's the fun part. I think about my guy Stro, who's still the assistant coach at Simpson, is one of my good friends, is one of my guys, will always be one of my guys. Like I think about the satisfaction that he gets from like finding someone like that, that nobody else knows about, but you can sit there and you can see it's like, oh, this guy has something, and knowing that you can help them get to where they want to go, even though they might have to take a longer road than what they necessarily would ever want to, or most people would want to.
Yeah, and I feel like AAU the expansion of AAU has kind of like it's almost felt like it's another high school sport now. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's so time demanding and you take so much away from the kid in the summer. Then, especially in all their summer years growing up, there's like, I don't know. Part of me wishes AAU didn't get as big as it did because I love like being in my high school town and playing local sports, like playing golf, dude. That was my favorite thing ever. Looking back, like that's one of my favorite memories in my life. Like going back in time and thinking about during my summers, I was preparing for golf in the summer, late summer, my senior year when I didn't have to play AAU that year, um, towards like August area. And I was like, dude, that was so much fun. Not having so much worries and feel like where you're going that weekend and how far you're traveling and all this stuff. Because man, that gets like so time demanding and draining on the kid. I feel like, and you just what kid's gonna want to go back to their hometown and want to play a different sport after traveling their whole summer? Like I feel like it's really really rare now.
Well, and I feel like the way AAU is now, it can almost, like, I think back to when I would go to those camps or go and do anything like that, it would be fun to go and do that, and play with new people and get to meet new people and play against all kinds of new people and find out about good hoopers in Omaha or like wherever it might be that you're going to this camp. But I would always be like, man, but I look forward to just going back and playing with my friends again,
Yeah.
And the AAU section of things it takes away from that, where you just get to go have fun and play with your friends. That's what I feel like it hurts a little bit, is that it like professionalizes everything really, really early.
Oh,
It like
very much.
becomes less about like, oh, I'm just going out to play this game with my homies, and more about I'm out here trying to work to try and get this scholarship offer. And you're putting that pressure on people that, you know, 8 years old out there playing whatever, 8U or whatever, in playing 40 games in a summer, and it's just crazy. Like we got to let kids be kids sometimes.
Yeah. Dude, I remember an AAU game. We played the Iowa Barnstormers in Minneapolis, dude. And we were up all night. Like, this was the great part of AAU. Like, I actually had a lot of great friends on my team with the Martin Brothers team. And we were up at like until like 4:30 in the morning, just doing like kid shit, like just so random stuff in the hotel room. And we had an 8 a.m. game, and we had to get up like in 2 hours. Dude. I remember walking in, and I was like a sophomore in high school. Like I didn't know like how important sleep was back
Yeah.
then. Like I didn't realize like if I got 8 hours, how much more prepared I would have been. But we played an 8 a.m. game against Iowa Barnstormers, and we were just fried. Like we had no idea, like because we have we're lack of sleep. Like no one slept in the on our team. And then we had a turnaround literally 30 minutes later. It was like 30 minutes later, Jared. We played at like 9:30, and then we played at like
And you're
12
probably
o'clock.
and you're probably
We
playing
played,
against like the Wisconsin Playground Warriors or
yes,
something like that.
and like we're sleeping on the sidelines. Like we have a game in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
If I sleep 15 minutes before a G League game or a college basketball game back in the day, dude, I would have been awful. I would have been cut off my team right away.
When we went to the state tournament, my we stayed at a hotel the whole week. Uh, and like we were going to either way, but obviously we kept winning, so it's like we just kept staying up there. And I slept on the floor of our hotel room the whole week at the state tournament, and never thought twice about it. I was
Yeah,
never once like, yeah, we're out here trying to win a state championship, and I'm sleeping on the floor of a hotel room
yeah.
instead of getting a roll away. Or like, I was just like, yeah, I'm just cool with sleeping on the floor. You know,
We
and we had to play the state consolation game at 10 o'clock on Friday or whatever it was in the morning. And we lost in overtime in the semifinals, and I remember my whole team that night, like everybody's just off doing their own thing, like our girlfriend, like people's girlfriends are staying in the hotel, like everybody's off being a menace, doing high school senior type of things when you're staying in a hotel by yourself without your parents.
Yeah.
And guys are staying up until 2 o'clock in the morning and all this stuff like that. And we wake up the next morning, and I was convinced, I was like, we're getting our asses kicked today. Like, there is no way in hell that we are winning this game. And we ended up playing pretty well. And actually, we kind of kicked the shit out of the team that we played. But it was like, I just remember sitting there thinking, I was like, there's no way we're going to play well. I'm on day 5 of sleeping on a hotel room floor. We had guys that were up in their girlfriend's room until 2 o'clock in the morning last night. I was like, man, we're going to be in trouble. But no, that's just high school, dude. That's just what you do,
Those state consolation games were, I remember my oldest brother playing against, I want to say it was Waterloo East. And I forgot what this guy's name was on Waterloo East, but him and my brother went back and forth. And it was literally just a one-on-one game because no one really cared. And no one was in the arena. Like, no one cares about the constellation game. And they both had like 45. Like, it was the most insane game ever, but no one was passing the ball. Like, they were just chucking up threes the whole game. I'm like, why are we here? And I'm sure they did the same shit that you guys did. They all stayed up until 3 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy. And it was just looking back on it now, like, you can tell that the team that we played MFL Marmac, and they had been undefeated going into the state tournament. Lost, got killed in the semifinals, and then had to play us in the consolation game. And you can just, like, if you watch the game now, like, you can just see it's like those guys didn't give a shit. They had no care in the world to be there that day,
Yeah.
Whereas, like, for us, it's like Clarendon never won a state tournament game before that week, So it was like, even though we were all dicking around, it was still like, we took it serious. It's like, this is important to us, And those guys were just like, nah, we're just ready to go home. We're over it. It is what it is. That's the dynamic that you get in those consolation games, where one team usually really wants to be there because it's like important to their town, and then the other team couldn't give a shit less.
Yeah. I feel like you brought up something that's interesting. We talked about, I'm doing that camp in Alta, and I've been talking to Scott Randall, the basketball coach there. And it's funny, like, he's a extremely great guy. We've had great interactions on the phone, and I'm excited to meet him. But it's funny, like, the dynamic. I feel like, because I did a couple like speaking engagements with MLC Floyd in Orange City.
When did you do that?
That was last summer.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say my high school coach is like their JV coach now, I think.
Oh, nice. I probably met him when I was up there.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But yeah, they're great guys up in MLC Florida as well. And I spent, kind of goes along with what I was saying about Alta. I feel like there's such a strong passion and enthusiasm for their job and wanting these kids to excel at I'm not saying like 4A is not the same way, but there's like even more of a different level that these coaches have for these kids and wanting them to excel at the next level of their life. And I think it's so cool to like experience. Like, I'm glad I've been doing these stuffs in the summer to experience this, because, man, it's cool to see like you actually have a person in your life that wants you to do good in your next chapter. Like, that's so rare nowadays.
Well, I think the reality is that those coaches understand that for a lot of guys to get out of those small towns, like, this is their opportunity, and this is how they can do it. And, believe me, I see it all the time. I've got all my friends, like people that I grew up with, that you sit there and it's like that they could have done all kinds of things, and then they never really even hardly left town, because it was just like never had opportunities, or like they didn't work to go and, get the opportunities they had, or whatever it may be. And then all of a sudden it's been 10, 12 years and like you haven't really done anything, And I think that's what those coaches understand, is that they know it's like, if I can get this guy really excited in basketball, he doesn't even understand where this could take him, of like, it gets you out of here. It gets you into new scenarios. It gets you around new people, and like all the experiences that you can have from the game of basketball, just because of this thing that you decided to like put some work into when you were 14,
Yeah.
And that's why I love those high school coaches so much, is because they want to make sure that they see those kids go and have success. And it's not really that often about, wins and losses and things like that. It's about setting them up to, feel like they accomplished something, and two, like they feel like they're set up to go and accomplish something in the future because of their experience that they had playing for you.
Yeah, and all those kids are such good kids, man. I feel like I've never had a bad experience meeting a high school kid from a small town. Like they're very well spoken. They know, um, like how to hold a conversation. They understand like the. I feel like they understand the meaning of life. As weird as that sounds, like they're okay even if they don't make it to the next level. That okay, I want to provide for my family. I want to do all these great things. They have great morals, and I don't know, man. I just really appreciate how compassionate some of these coaches are in small towns because I don't think they get enough credit as well too because of how much bigger some of these schools are getting in Iowa, like Waukee, like Limar, my high school, and there's so much wrapped around. Like I feel like Eagle wise now in a lot of sports that it gets lost on what the real meaning is to be a coach in high school, and that is to help the kid grow as a person and as a player. Something that is I definitely think is a lost art. So I don't know.
Well, I can tell you how much it means, I'm sure, to those kids to have you going and doing those camps and things like that and just being around you, because I know, like, we had a guy named Ryan Goodson come. Ryan is a trainer, has
Yeah.
been around the block. He worked with Drew Hanlon with Pure Sweat and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and has done a bunch of camps. Good ass guy, like awesome dude. And Corey Harris was working with him doing stuff, and like they came and did a camp in Clarendon and did it 2 or 3 years in a row. And that's still stuff that I think about,
Yeah.
and that was over 10 years ago. But it was like just thinking about like what it meant for us to have that guy come and work with us and for him to take interest in you and for him to be like, oh, I can see things in you guys and like help bring that out. Like that means a lot to people, because you don't again, you just don't get that many opportunities coming from those small towns to do things like that, where you have people that are around that are going to come to you, that are going to come and they're going to focus on pouring their time into you, their time and their effort and their knowledge. And like that's powerful,
Yeah.
for people who don't get that kind of stuff very often.
It's definitely lost art. And every time I talk about this now, I think about have you ever heard of the name Coach Fleming? Legendary high school basketball coach in
We're
Iowa.
at
In Iowa.
yeah,
I can't remember the high school coach he coached at, but he was there for like 30 plus years. Just a legend. He passed away my junior year in college, but I went to this point guard academy. Like he held these point guard academy camps, and I don't think it was on Grandview's campus, so it was at their gym, I believe. I want to say, and just like a small town guy, he brings in all these guys that like he was old, right? So a lot of it was very like old school, like teaching. Like we'd show up. I only did this 1 year. It was my freshman year, and we'd show up, and he'd give everyone a packet right when we got to the Point Guard Academy, and it's probably like 30 pages long and has like all these things. I still have it in my room over here, and it has all these things he wants us to know as being a point guard, right? And it's like all these great sayings, like all these great quotes, all these like very precise things that he believes is like the number one thing to be a great point guard. And dude, when I tell you, like I've been to a lot of camps, a lot of skills camp, a lot of coaches I've met. I tell you what, man, like as old school as he was, and some of the stuff he did say was crazy just because of how old school he was. But bro, that was like one of the most exciting things ever to look back on and appreciate, because you have a guy that, I mean, the camp was, I mean, it was some money, but it wasn't anything like to make a living off of. Like he was probably retired. Like he didn't need to do it, but he did it for so long and truly loved doing it. Like that makes the kids even want to work harder and want to be great when you have a guy that loves what they're doing, that teaches them. And that was one of my favorite experiences ever as a player, to experience that. And it was hard, man. One of these drills, Jared, you'll think this is funny. One of these drills he had us do to begin camp was 2 minutes straight of jumping. So you're jumping nonstop and you just do all these different exercises. And he believed like this was the most important thing to strengthen your calves and like be able to be athletic. Obviously, it didn't help me much, but we would jump 2 minutes straight, man. It was like the most grueling and tiresome thing I ever done because it was like you rather die than experience this. It was unbelievable, but yeah, it was awesome experience.
Did you ever go to Snow Valley camps? Have you heard of those?
I have heard, but I never went. Never had a chance to
Oh
go.
man, you want to talk about experience, dude? It's like going to the army, bro. Not really, but like, obviously, like I'm not really saying it's like going to the army, but it's like you're waking up at like 5:30 every morning, and you are in the gym every day until midnight, basically.
Yeah.
And it's like they literally will try to break your will, basically, as a high school kid at a
Right.
basketball camp. And they're like, we're gonna push you literally as far as you can possibly be pushed, and we're gonna see how you handle it.
Do they still
And
do Snow Valley camps?
yeah, as far as I know, I know they always do one in Waverly. I went to one in Lincoln when I was in high school.
I
Yeah,
think
looks like they do. Yep.
the guy that runs it, what's his name?
Tate's Lock, isn't it? Or I know he's affiliated with them. I went to a camp where he was one of the guys that was running it. Tate's Lock, who was a coach in the NBA, coached in college for a long time.
I was thinking of someone else.
Don Showalter. Is that who you're
Showalter.
thinking
I'm
of?
thinking of Showalter, and I played with this kid, man.
Schlaba or
Schlaba, yes,
yeah.
Schlaba. I know them pretty well. Really great family.
Yeah, I would highly recommend that to anybody out there that wants to send their kids to a camp. Looks like they're in. There's 3 of them, or 1 in June, 2 in July. There's a girls' camp in July as well.
Heck yeah.
I think that would be a really good. I still think that's a good experience for anybody out there that wants to. Like, if you want to really learn something, like you're not going to go get recruited from that camp probably, because it's just like it's not that kind of camp. But if you just want to go and learn and you want to really like get to, find out how much you really like basketball, Snow Valley is the kind of camp that you want to go to.
That's a great way to put it. If you want to find out, yeah. The only way you find out how to love something, I feel like, is you have to go through shit because of it.
Yeah.
That is the only way possible.
Yeah. You find out how badly you want to play.
Yeah.
When you go to things like that, because there's nothing easy about it.
Yeah.
Like you're staying in the dorms, you're like eating not very good. You're just playing ball all day, every day. Everybody's sore. It's like 5 days. It's just hell, dude. It's hell.
I was gonna go it was into my junior year. I remember because me and my friends were all signed up and we were gonna go, and I practically broke my ankle. I wish I would have broke my ankle, but I couldn't. There's no way I could go. So I was kind of devastated.
Yeah, that was a cool experience. Being able to do that. This is none of what we were going to talk about on the podcast today.
We're 30 minutes in. We didn't even.
We're 30 minutes into the podcast. This is none of what we were going to talk about, but I do need to tell you about Hinterland Music Festival coming up on August 4th through the 6th down in St. Charles, Iowa, just south of Des Moines, south of Indianola, a little ways. They're going to have Bon Iver, Zach Bryan, Maggie Rogers. Those are your headliners. They're going to have all kinds of other great acts coming up August 4th through the 6th in St. Charles. I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to try and get out there. Me and my girlfriend are going to try and get out there and enjoy some of these shows. You guys can learn more about music and camping passes right now at hinterlandiowa.com. These are some big time acts, man. And I think anybody who takes the jump to go out and do this and takes the time to go down to St. Charles is going to, they're going to be glad that they did.
I want to go so bad and see Zach Bryan. Like last time we talked about it last week, I'm going to see him in Sioux Falls, and I'm telling you guys, if you have a chance, you're in Iowa, you're a fan of country music, Zach Bryan is literally like his music is something that has changed me, like literally as a person. So it's amazing that they offer a headliner like Zach Bryan here and shows how great the state of Iowa is to get these talents, because there are some great headliners that are going to Hinterland. Great headliners.
You say it's changed you as a person, and all I can imagine is that you'll be at this concert, like a worship service. You're at a worship service where you've got your hands up in the air. You're just trying to get closer to God. Like you're just trying to feel him. Yep. It's just like a spiritual experience for you.
It literally would be. Like when I see him in Sioux Falls, that's what I'm going to be like. My girlfriend knows that too. When we're like, she knows I am going to be a different person when I first see him.
All right. You guys can find out more August 4th through the 6th, hinterlandiowa.com, down in St. Charles, August 4th through the 6th. All right. Should we do recent happenings in NIL, or should we do the first 2024 bracketology first?
Let's get right to the NIL. Let's do it.
All right. So today, the SEC is hosting what was called what was termed as like a mixer for congressional workers and staffers today in Washington D.C. In hopes of passing some sort of NIL bill through Congress. Greg Sankey, Nick Saban, all those guys are going to be in town trying to work their magic to get something done here. This quote is from Greg Sankey on Monday. He said, quote, "There's increasing interest and recognition of the need for congressional engagement to resolve these issues. What's happening at the state level is exactly what we warned about. Our states are making a mess of college athletics. Our states are adopting laws that are not helpful to conduct conference competition and national competition. It emphasizes the need for a national standard so we can protect what's special about college sports at that national competition level. And we'll have a conversation about how we can continue to engage with Congress. Will Congress continue to provide the opportunity for a national solution? It's not necessarily what any of us would have preferred 4 or 5 years ago, but it's our current reality." There are 5 bills right now, NIL adjacent bill proposals under discussion at various levels of the federal government. All of them protecting the ability to go into NIL. We can talk about each of those individual bills and some of the different pieces of them all. But first thoughts on Greg Sankey and the boys loading up and heading to DC.
I feel like this is becoming, when I would do something the wrong way so many times, like Coach McCaffrey would always say, like, anyone on the team, what's the definition of insanity? What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right?
Yeah.
Or the same, yeah, like different. I feel like they're doing the same thing here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many times are we going to go and cry to Congress members about NIL and expect them to fix it? How many times? And they keep doing it. They keep believing. First off, it is almost physically impossible for an NIL bill to get through Congress, to get to on president's desk.
You can hardly get through the committees.
Yeah, they hardly get through the subcommittee.
Yeah.
It is impossible. And I've done it. I've done it numerous times of trying to pass a bill and lobby it and get it through. It is impossible. And the crazy thing is, I'm young still. I would like to consider myself young. These guys are old. They've experienced college football. They know what the environment is like in Congress. They know what the environment is like in college athletics. Why are you going to Congress to want to fix this? Go to the people that are running the damn organization, and that's the NCAA. Go to them. You continue to back them and speak on their behalf and saying, oh, well, they're not getting anything done. We can't get anything done in college because it's too hard. It's not hard. It is not hard. You don't need Congress.
And the funny thing is that hardly any of this stuff comes with like antitrust exemptions or any of those kinds of things. So it just like, it's like, well, I don't understand what you need to be done from these people that can't be done by you guys.
Yeah.
You know,
they're crying because a lot of these coaches are crying because they know where college athletics is headed, right? They know employment status is coming. It is right around the corner. People that are following the NLRB complaint with USC and those schools in California know that California is damn close to employment status for these college athletes. And there's going to be payment to these players, I would imagine, within the year or so. And that's going to change the whole landscape of college athletics more than NIL did. But they're so worried about NIL still, right? Because they think they can reverse it. And therefore, the whole thing's going to reverse back to the old model. That's what these college coaches are thinking in their head. But how insane is that? We go back to the definition of insanity. How insane are these coaches that continue to do the same thing and expecting it's going to be a different result? Like they're not going to change anything. They're not. If anything, they're going to change NIL to be better or more strongly restrictive for the player, right? They're gonna help the player at this point, especially with the 9-0 Supreme Court case. Like, are these coaches are they that oblivious, Jared, that they didn't see what the Supreme Court, even the NCAA, are they that oblivious they didn't see what the NCAA said in the Alston case? Like, how can you sit there and see these arguments by the judges and be like, okay, we're going to DC and we're gonna pass this? Like,
I just don't think that the people in DC are gonna feel bad for them like what they think that they are. You know,
no.
like by and large. I mean, you might, I think we all know you can get a guy like Tommy Tuberville to jump onto their side. Tommy Tuberville's lived these problems that these coaches have. He is one of them.
Yeah.
Even if he is doing something else now, he's still one of these guys. So it's like,
Right.
of course he's going to side with them, but the majority of these people are going to look at this and they're going to say, this is a waste of our time. What are we doing this for? And unless you want to really start to introduce some sweeping things that I don't think that they want to be introduced,
Yeah. And it would be great. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we've tried to pass a couple NIL bills. We still have some in lingo right now. Senator Booker has been great with my organization I've been working with. He's been great, right? They've been trying to get a bill on the floor through committee, but I know it's not possible. Jay Billis has been trying to do it for decades. It's not happening. The only way it's going to happen is NCAA do something about it, but they're so tied to the NCAA. Nothing's going to happen.
Do you have
Literally
Cory
nothing.
Booker's phone number? You have Cory Booker's
Well,
phone number?
I don't. I have some of his. I have his
That'd be cool.
office, like the people that work in his office.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I was just wondering.
He's a great
hoping
man.
you was your close personal friend.
Have him on the pod. We probably could. I could work some strings and get him on here.
I feel like I would need to wear a suit, like a shirt and tie.
Oh, dude,
to interview a senator.
When we met with Mark Emmert for the passage of NIL bill, and we had a press conference after on via Zoom because it was like kind of during the COVID era.
Yeah.
And Cory Booker and Blumenthal and there's another senator, I'm forgetting her name, Cantwell. I believe it was Cantwell. And they all show up, and I'm thinking in my head before, I'm like, dude. And there's all these like journalists, like national reporters. I'm like, I'm wearing like literally just an Iowa polo. I'm like, I feel like such a bum right now. Like, dude, what am I doing?
What am I doing? All of a sudden, I'm in like a press conference answering questions alongside elected government officials.
It is literally that moment. Like you know those like dreams you wake up and you're like, please don't be real. Please don't be real. I felt like I was like I was having those like.
It's like in The Office when Michael Scott has to go out with the Dunder Mifflin Board of Trustees to answer to the investors.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, all of them are walking out. They're all serious. Like they know what's coming for them. And then you walk out and you have like no idea what's going on. You're just like, what am I doing up here all of a sudden?
Really, that's what it felt like. But I don't know. To go back to your point, I think that SEC is still scrambling. They want something to be done, and they're picking and choosing their senators, right? Like the senator you mentioned, like obviously he's going to side with some of these coaches because he knows what that's like, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's numerous, the majority of senators and representatives aren't gonna want to touch this thing, right? Like they have other things to worry about.
Well, yeah, I thought this quote was interesting from Ted Carter, who's the president of the University of Nebraska Systems. He said, quote, "If Congress becomes involved, we've lost. I feel for those who serve at that level. They're thankless jobs. College athletics should not be part of their portfolio."
Yep. 100% agree. But we've gotten to this point because the
NCAA just buried their head in the sand and like they're like, we're not going to do anything. So now that's where like I do kind of feel for the SEC because I think that the SEC is looking for some uniformity because the states in the SEC keep passing laws and making it to where everything is different, So like I can appreciate that because I do think they're trying to do the right thing for college athletics to create some level of uniformity. I just don't think that these are the people that you need to be going to do it.
Absolutely
frankly.
not. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. this is probably their last resort. Like, you're probably right. Like, they have no other options at this point because the NCAA has been so blindfolded. Like, they put a blindfold on and they're walking around. That's literally, I feel like that's what their administrative office is doing. They all have blindfolds on and they're all walking around asking what the hell should we do? That's what.
And I'll be honest, I'm not sure that some of these laws that the states are passing and things like that, I know that they think they're being helpful, but I'm not completely sure that they are, you know.
Right.
Like
Right.
I think that there's that, and that's what, you know, we kind of talked about this last week. It has stopped being about protecting the student athletes and started to be about protecting the schools and protecting the competitive elements for those individual schools, and not about what it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
And that to me is the concerning part, is that it's like, okay, this started out with good intentions. Now we're doing too much. Everybody needs to slow down here a little bit. But that requires like each individual school going to state senators and things like that and telling them like, yo, y'all need to chill, you know.
Mhm.
And I just find it hard to believe that that's going to be done, because at the end of the day, the schools are the ones that are gaining from it, you know. So it just I don't know. I feel bad for Greg Sankey on some level. I'm not one to feel bad for Greg Sankey very often, but I do feel bad for him about this, because I think that he's fighting a really hard battle when it comes to these things, because of because of how closely tied these things are with these southern states, and how important it is to these people that their school is able to have competitive advantages based on what they're able to do.
Right. And like what like this is like became to the fabric of college athletics, right? Like, this is why NCAA has become so corrupt. Not only are they a monopoly, but they've had their own pockets trying to be aligned first rather than the people that are making their pockets be aligned. And the fact, like, a lot of these college football coaches are the same way. A lot of these senators and representatives are the same way, right? And they want their schools to be the best they can, because it provides, we went through the whole microeconomics aspect of it through a state level. Like, there's a lot to be had when your sports team is really profiting and having fans come to their game and they're having great seasons. There's a lot to come from that. And all these senators and our representatives want that to happen in each of their own states. So, yeah, they're not going to do what's in the best interest of these athletes in some cases. And a lot of these cases, yeah, that might be true. But they want their university to be in the best hands possible. They want their coaches to be happy, because if their coaches are happy, their pockets are going to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what the answer. The answer is, it just feels like Congress, isn't it? I don't know.
The answer is to get whoever the hell is making these board of governors apart, making these decisions as the NCAA, get them the hell out. That's what it comes down to, Jared. The board of governors, the NCAA, are the ones that are making all these. And I give credit to the new NCAA president, right? Like, he's really not doing anything. Like, Mark Emmert really didn't do anything. He wasn't a guy that had much power.
Those guys are vilified, but they're just figureheads.
Yeah, they're political puppets. They get put there and they get stood behind a screen, and they're like, "This is what you're gonna say. This is what you're gonna push. This is what we want our organization to believe in." And they go off in their day, and they do that day in and day out, and they have no opinion on anything. They are just told what to say. These board of governors are the ones that are put in place to make all these decisions, and they have been so bad for the future of college athletics that it's honestly, it's criminal, Jared. I don't want to use that word lightly. It is criminal for what they've been doing for all this amount of years.
You don't want to use that word lightly, says the guy who tries to put people in jail all of the time.
Oh, okay. Some of that's reasonable, because that is criminal. Because don't make me get started on Courtney Green again. I know you.
I was going to say Courtney Green, Paul Zelk. You want to put officials into jail, but you say that you don't throw the word criminal around lightly.
That's why my incarceration list, that people that follow me on Twitter, my incarceration list is like, it's not that long. It's really not. I haven't added to that in a couple of weeks. It's not a daily occurrence.
Have you added the NCAA board of governors to it yet?
When I put the NCAA as a whole, so that kind of covers the whole.
Oh, okay.
NCAA.
Yeah. Have you put your putter on there yet?
Yeah, my putter is on there. Anyone that's wondering. It is on there. It got added about a month and a half ago. So
I saw your tweet that it's feeling like another new putter round yesterday or something like that. Didn't you just buy a new putter?
the worst part, or first off, Chris, we gotta get this check in for the June. I gotta get another putter. We gotta get going, dude.
I need that May check here. Yeah.
I need that May check, man. Like I just bought a new putter. I need another one.
Oh man, yeah, that
Golf's
had
a fun
me
sport.
laughing yesterday.
Yeah.
Had me laughing yesterday. All right, last thing, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Joe Lundari has released his first. I guess I don't know if it's the first one. A recently updated bracketology for 2023-24. We're what 9 months away, I guess, from the NCAA tournament again. Right now, Iowa State in the field as a 9 seed, playing Colorado and Indianapolis. The Hawkeyes are the second team in the next 4 out right now. What do you want to know from this bracketology? I'll rapid fire any of these things that you want to hear.
Before we get into that, you know how much I hate the next 4 in and out and stuff. I get so damn confused about that. Like when they're doing the NCAA selection,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so confused on who's close to making it, who's not.
Okay, so in this situation, Iowa would be the 6th team out.
Right.
They would,
Why do that? Why? Like seriously?
I don't know. Ask Joe Lundari.
Might just say next 8 out. Like
Yeah, that would make more sense.
first
I don't
8
know.
out.
Yeah.
Or-
Well, it's because it's like the first 4, and then I don't know. Yeah, whatever. But Iowa's in the next 4.
Where we got Kansas? Is Kansas a 1 seed?
Kansas is the number 1 overall seed. Joe Lundari has them playing South Dakota State as a 16 seed.
Oh, that is not a good game to have as one seed.
He does not have South Dakota State as the automatic qualifier though from the Summit League. I'm trying to figure out who he does have as the automatic qualifier from the Summit League.
Joe Lundari decided to cause chaos with this. The Summit League, Jared, is going to be a 2 bid league this year.
With one of them being a 16 seed, apparently.
With one of them being a 16 seed. Guys losing it.
Yeah, who the hell knows? If I would be really surprised if South Dakota State was a 16 seed, I guess. I don't know. That feels kind of disrespectful. I guess I don't know anything about South Dakota State, but it's like that league doesn't scream 16 seed to me.
No.
If Kansas had to play South Dakota State in the first round, I feel like Bill Self's can be heated. He's gonna be like, what the hell? Why are you doing this to us?
Yeah, he might quit if that's the case.
The number 1 seeds, Kansas is the number 1 overall seed. Purdue, Duke, and Michigan State.
We're not doing this Purdue thing again, are we?
What do you mean we're not doing the Purdue thing again?
Dude, Purdue brought
back the National Player of the Year.
Purdue's such against the wall right now, man, with how all the upsets they've had back to back years. Oh my gosh.
Hey, what happened the last time a 1 lost to a 16? What happened the next year?
True.
I'm just saying. You know those guys are going to have a tough offseason. They're going to be working hard this offseason to get that taste out of their mouth.
It's a hard taste to get out of your mouth.
Those guards are going to have experience under their belt now. Fletcher Lawyer, all those guys, like they're not going to be freshmen anymore.
Man, I lost a 12 seed in my last game of my career, and that taste will never get out of my mouth. I can't imagine losing a 16 seed.
Well, I'm sure the only way to be able to wash that taste out of your mouth is to win the national championship.
That's true. But what about like the guys that don't have the opportunity to get the taste out of their mouth?
Right. Well, at least you can take solace in the fact that your homies won the national championship without you.
Hell yeah. What is a Florida Atlantic at? I'm curious.
Florida Atlantic is a 4 seed.
Really?
Oh, that one. Yep.
They have every single person back, and we're having them as a 4 seed. Okay.
I've seen they are going to become the groupthink team of 2023-24, where like everybody is going to be. It'll like you look at your top 25 for the preseason, and if you don't have Florida Atlantic high enough, then you're gonna get bullied, into like saying that you need to have them higher. But then if you have them too high, you're gonna get bullied into saying that they need to be lower. And so it's like there is no idea of really what range Florida Atlantic belongs in. You could put them anywhere from 1 to 25, and someone is going to tell you that they're either too high or they're too low.
Good point. I think it's sorry, tornado alarms are going off. Wednesday drill. I'd be shocked if Florida Atlantic isn't a top 25 team the entire
Oh,
year.
yeah.
Like I would be absolutely shocked. There's no way. They have to have a good. I hate using the word culture, but they have to have a good like team culture for have every single guy to come back, not go to transfer portal or anything.
They're going into the American this year.
Are they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I can't even think who's still in the American. Who would be they could be competing against?
Isn't
Memphis?
Wait, Conference USA, is that the American League? No.
Yeah, it was like the
Conference
old Big East and the Conference USA. I mean, Cincinnati, Houston.
Wait. American
UCF.
Conference USA and American League is the same conference?
Well, the Conference USA has American has some of the teams that would have been in what you would probably think of as being like the original Conference USA. Conference USA is still a thing, but I would have to even look up who is in it. I think like Middle Tennessee State is in Conference USA now.
I thought Memphis was in Conference USA.
Memphis is in Conference USA in like 2006.
Oh, oops.
Memphis is in the American now.
Oops.
The current members. The current members of the Conference USA.
Oh, it's not going to be a good move, is it?
Are UAB,
Good
Florida
school.
International, Louisiana Tech. This is the league that Florida Atlantic was in before. They just left this league. They're leaving this league. Louisiana Tech. Yeah, they're going to the American Conference. Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee State, Charlotte, North Texas. I think North Texas is leaving too. Yeah. Okay. So like Florida Atlantic or Florida International, Louisiana Tech, Middle Tennessee State, UTEP, Western Kentucky, Jacksonville State, Liberty, New Mexico State, Sam Houston, and Kennesaw. And then Florida Atlantic is joining the American along with, I think, UAB, Charlotte, North Texas, Rice, and UTSA.
That's a really, 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 really bad league.
The Conference USA.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Those are what we like to call all bye games for Power 5 conferences.
All right, the soon-to-be members of the American Athletic Conference: East Carolina, Memphis, South Florida, SMU, Temple, Tulane, Tulsa, Wichita State. Future full members: UAB, Florida Atlantic, Charlotte, North Texas, Rice, and UTSA. Yeah,
a lot better conference. Those are really solid schools.
Yeah, that should be a pretty solid league even without Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF. Yeah, especially in basketball.
Yeah,
I don't know that they'll get more than like, one or two bids, but they'll get a couple.
That make Florida Atlantic a lot worse or a lot better?
I feel like they'll be better tested, but their record might be worse.
I don't know. I could see both sides.
I mean, they went what? Didn't they go like 31-4 this year or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like Houston, right? Like they don't really play anyone.
How good? Like that's what I'm interested to see. How good will Houston be this year? Now that they're going to be in the Big 12, because they're going to all of a sudden, FAU went 35-4 and 18-2 in the Conference USA.
It's a good record.
Listen to this, dude. In the 10 years previous to this past year, going to the Final Four, winning the conference championship, winning the conference tournament, Florida Atlantic had not finished higher than 7th place in the league since 2010.
Can we get this head coach a pay raise?
No kidding. Dusty May deserves like a lifetime contract in Boca Raton.
He deserves like I'm shocked he didn't go to a different school. Like, that is actually impressive. And he didn't get any of his players to leave.
Are there any other schools that you're interested to know? Drake is the 12th seed, automatic qualifier in
Nice.
Lunardi's
Des Moines team.
bracketology. Yeah, Des Moines' hometown team. Who else here? Wisconsin's a 7. Looking for Big 12 teams.
How many Big Ten teams is Mr. Joe Lundari have?
He has 8. 8 Big 10 teams, 8 SEC teams, and 7 Big 12 teams.
I don't see Big Ten getting 8. What did they get, 7 last year?
Okay.
I think they
So
got
he's
7
got
last year.
Northwestern, Purdue, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Rutgers. I think that's all of them.
Yeah, I mean they'll get their normal 7 for sure. 8's.
Oh, and Maryland. Yeah, Maryland's in there too.
Yeah, I guess I haven't really looked too much on players and teams because the rosters aren't really. I guess they're kind of more set now, but
yeah, that's what stinks about this is it's so hard to even guess what the top 25 changes every day, basically. Yeah. And I look at the T rank and things like that, the projected T ranks. That stuff changes literally every hour, basically, because there's somebody committing somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
Or I saw even Simeon Wilcher, who's a 4-star recruit, got out of his letter of intent to North Carolina yesterday. The dude's probably supposed to report to campus like next week, and now he's looking for a new school,
Yeah, like Caleb Love just committed to Arizona, like literally yesterday too.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Arizona should have a pretty good team. They're what are they? They're I think a 2 on here. No, maybe not. Looks like they're 4 or 5. I don't know. A long time from the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, hard to predict.
I think I'm gonna ride the take that Purdue is gonna win the national championship all year. I'm gonna ride that one.
I hope they do. I think Big Ten's long overdue, but
it's only been 23 years for you guys?
Long time. Really long time, Jared. Long time.
I guess it depends on if you count Maryland. Maryland did win a title.
No,
not as a member of the Big Ten, though. Yeah, not as a member of the Big Ten.
I just don't see anyone beating Kansas this year. I don't even think it's – I'm biased, but –
you're just all year. You're like, I don't think anybody's beating Kansas.
Yeah,
that's your only analysis. You don't have any, you don't even watch any other teams. You're just like, there ain't anybody beating Kansas.
Yeah, they're not beating anyone. But then they lose, then.
Yeah, then they would lose to South Dakota State, 16 seed South Dakota State, who'd probably have a 31-3 record or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. We'll catch up with you again next week. Thanks everybody for listening. Peace.